Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me. We're back with another gear review, and today we're taking a look at Katabatic Gear's Wren Bivvy. The Wren is Katabatic Gear's latest, greatest ultralight bivvy. It's an upgraded, updated version of the Pinion Bivvy. Now the Pinion Bivvy only comes with this mesh window here, but the Wren Bivvy comes with this water-resistant panel that zips up over the mesh window. Now with this water-resistant panel, you can roll it up. There is a toggle down here in the bottom that holds it in place. And this is how I slept in it pretty much the whole 10 days I was in it. You just take the toggle, slip it through the loop, and you are all set. One of the main factors when purchasing the bivvy is how it reacts to heavy condensation. Now we had about 4 nights where we had heavy condensation, and I'm happy to report that it wasn't really wet on the inside. Yes, it was a little damp, but nothing too bad. Dried out really quick. We were good to go. Now, I can't tell you if that situation would have lasted longer, maybe 7 or 8 days with that condensation, how well it would have done. I'm unsure of that. We only had about 3 or 4 heavy days of condensation where we woke up in the morning, and several of them it was frosted, so that might have prevented a lot of the condensation from getting inside of the bivvy itself. Now, before getting into the specs and features of this bivvy, I want to talk about my experience with bivvies. Before purchasing this bivvy here, I had zero experience with any bivvies. I've done a lot of tent camping, done a lot of TP tent camping, ultralight tent camping, but never stayed in a bivvy. This is my first bivvy ever. And before purchasing this bivvy, I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I checked out a lot of websites. I consulted with a lot of people about different bivvies, different styles, different features. Checked out a bunch of different stuff before purchasing this bivvy. One thing I really have to look for when I'm looking at camping gear, specifically sleep systems, is I'm 6'5", so I have to have a super roomy bivvy, sleeping pad, sleeping bag, all that stuff. It's super hard for me to find something that fits me really well and then also fits the criteria of what I'm looking for. So before purchasing the Wren Bivvy, I had zero experience sleeping in a bivvy, but I knew what I wanted. I knew what to look for. And the Wren Bivvy seemed to check all the boxes for me. It's ultra lightweight, has plenty of ventilation, has cover for bad weather, also works in conjunction with a tarp really well for rain, snow, stuff like that. For being a tall person, it's extra roomy, has extra room for my gear being a tall person, so that's a bonus. It's super comfortable, super roomy inside, especially when you have the end set up. There were nights where I would just use the trekking poles here and the foot box was untethered. There were also nights where I slept on top of my sleeping bag and only used the bivvy for cover because it was so warm. There's many different ways you can use this bivvy. There's many different ways you can set it up. On the cold nights, there were nights we were there where it was 17 degrees Fahrenheit. And what I would do is take the cover here and I would just zip it up like this. That way I'd still have ventilation, but have cover from the wind and the cold. And it seemed to work really well that way. There was a night it rained, which we took our bivvies and put them in the teepee tent and slept in them that way. That way we were covered, didn't have to worry about tarps. Some people talk about these bivvies as being claustrophobic. I didn't seem to experience too much of that in the bivvy, but there was one night where my sleeping bag kind of got twisted up. I must have turned in my sleep and I got caught up in my sleeping bag. And with the bivvy being so close to you, it was hard for me to navigate that sleeping bag back to its original position. I had to unzip and pretty much bring my upper body out of it and adjust the sleeping bag and then zip back up. But it wasn't necessarily the bivvy's fault. It was more the sleeping bag. So I really didn't have too much of an issue with claustrophobia. It was great to get to go to sleep in this thing with the mesh window and see all the stars in the sky. Man, the stars were out and they were beautiful. So it was great to fall asleep to that. Saw a bunch of shooting stars, saw some satellites, and man, just the stars were phenomenal. I'll post a picture of the stars Now that that's all done, let's get into some of the features and specs that the Wren has to offer. The Wren Bivvie has a waterproof floor and water-resistant upper to protect you from all of the elements such as sleet, snow, and rain. The Wren allows for both maximum weather resistance and maximum ventilation depending on the conditions. Designed to work well with both pyramid shelters and tarps. With dual function opening, you can zip either the mesh window or Pertex quantum solid panel depending on the conditions. Number 3, YKK zippers are long inverted U zippers running from waist level to above head, allowing for easy entry and exit. The zippers are super easy to operate. I mean, this bivvy comes with a waterproof Robic nylon silicone / UTS coated floor. The Robic high tenacity yarn and UTS coating provide extra tear strength, abrasion resistance, and it's less slick than traditional silicone coating. The bathtub style floor has reduced seams for increased weather resistance. Pertex Quantum Air Upper is a highly breathable water resistant fabric with DWR treatment. Increased air permeability reduces condensation while remaining highly wind resistant. With the internal sleeping pad attachment, you can make sure that your sleeping pad doesn't go anywhere. Now, these internal sleeping pad attachments also work well with the Katabatic quilts and several other quilts on the market. The Wren, just like the Pinion, offers full bug protection for when you're in those zones where the bugs just won't leave you alone. There are stake loops at each corner and 2 loops for ridge lines at the peak of both the foot box and the head. The hang loops at the foot and head are both elastic. This bivvy accommodates up to a 25-inch wide sleeping pad, but I use a 32-inch pad. And yeah, it curls up on the sides, which I think is actually kind of great because it keeps me right in place. There are many different variations of the Wren, ranging from 5'6" to 6'6" wide. I'll post a picture up from the website that shows all the different variations and specs. Here's a quick look inside the bivvy just to show you how roomy it is. There's enough room for your sleeping pad, your sleeping bag, you, and quite a bit of gear. The Ren Bivvie does come with a stuff sack, and here it is next to my 10-inch handsaw. Pretty small package. This one here weighs 10.2 ounces. If you are interested in ordering a bivvy from Katabatic Gear's website, please note that they do not come with stakes or guy lines. You will have to purchase those separately or do like I did and just rob them from some of your other gear. Now that I've covered all the features and specs of the Wren, I want to talk about using it. The Wren is super versatile, from hot to cold and from clear skies to rain and snow. This thing has got you covered in just about any environment, any weather. Couple this with a tarp and man, you'll be able to sustain just about anything. Before I purchased the Ren Bivvie, I had zero experience with bivvies. So when I went shopping for a bivvie, I didn't really know what to look for. So I made sure I did plenty of research. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I visited a lot of websites. I compared materials and features and specs. I consulted with a lot of people, a lot of outfitters, a lot of hunters, a lot of campers. And after all the research, after looking at all the different bivvies, this is the one that I decided on. And I think I made the right decision. After spending 10 nights in this thing, there's not a single negative comment I have about this thing. I absolutely love it, and I think you will too. From the mesh screen to the water resistant panel, the pad attachments, the quilt attachments, being able to keep it off of your head and your feet is nice. I was able to keep in a lot more heat with the waterproof panel zipped up, so that was really nice on them cold nights. Now, there were a lot more warmer nights than cold nights or wet nights. There were clear skies, and most nights it was anywhere from about 37 to 45 degrees. So in the mountains, that's pretty warm, especially when you're using a 0-degree sleeping bag and an insulated sleeping pad. I was hot for the most part inside my sleeping bag, and I would have to unzip my sleeping bag and pretty much be half in and half out of my sleeping bag. The Bivvy held up well in all conditions, from the terrain to the weather. It did really well. I'm super impressed with it. I'm super happy with it. Overall, I give this thing 5 stars. Can't wait to run it on some different adventures. I'm going to go on some survival trips, some different hunting trips, different camping trips, hiking adventures, and I'm going to take the Wren Bivvy with me. If you yourself are shopping for a bivvy and don't know which direction to go, the Katabatic Wren Bivvy is a great option. As always, thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next adventure.
Dude, what are you doing, buddy?